Okay, I'm just gonna go live a little early here just to make sure that everything's working all right. Y'all able to hear me? I see we've got a few people waiting already. Hey guys. Sweet. Glad y'all can hear me. There's definitely a bit of lag between what I see in the chat and what I say, but hey, that's alright. We'll work through it. My internet's okay, but I have yet to run actual Ethernet cable to my office here. Office slash storeroom. Actually, this is kind of the dumping ground for all of our junk, but also where I spend 99% of my time. So, hey, it is what it is. Panda on the top shelf, that would be my wife's. She loves pandas. A lot. Easy way to her heart, get her some random panda-based stuff. The Sigmata is still killing my back. Yeah, I can't. Something about the low slung nature of it, the angle at which I push the clutch, pinches my sciatic nerve pretty bad. So I can't drive it for a whole lot, a whole lot of distance at a time. I mostly drive the BMW these days, and since I did a thing that you'll see in an upcoming episode, it's actually been doing quite well, and I actually got I even got a custom plate for it. That's how you know it's probably going to stay around. Rust-free high desert Southern California. Man, I am jealous by your selection of vehicles, not jealous of your rigorous inspections that you have to deal with, but it is nice because it means I can go there, get a cheap car that fails your inspection, and bring it back here and just drive it. All right, 259. Do I think the FBRX7 will increase in value? Well, that's kind of in the sweet spot right now for the sort of 80s Radwood revival. So yeah, I think everything in that time period is just skyrocketing right now. What'll be important is finding the few gems that are lagging behind and getting onto the train. Cars as investments usually isn't a great idea, but if you had bought 2 or 3 really clean late 90s Civics like 6 years ago, you'd be sitting on bank right now. And it's sort of like how with the old previous, the Generation X dream cars and the Boomer dream cars, I think the Chevy Corvair. Oh my gosh, what was the rear engine thing? Wow, I love those, and I can't remember the name. I think it's the Corvair. The prices on those stayed really low forever, and at one point in time, it was like the cheapest car from that era you could get. A Stormy Blue PRHT 6-speed. Yeah. They're pretty good cars. They're pretty tolerable dailies, and the power hardtop is generally extremely reliable. And what's really cool is if you get an app for your phone called ForScan, it's like $4. Yeah, I just got a Bluetooth dongle, and I can actually see every single like micro switch and the resistance of them in my Mazda's power hardtop in case there's like a micro switch that's keeping it from coming all the way up or down. Really, really neat being able to do that level of diagnostics, but you never really have to. The only thing that breaks on those is the Windows switches in the middle. They have a computer in them that talks to the power hardtop computer because it lowers the Windows before it does its thing. And there's a solder joint that will break in that switch module, and so just reflowing the solder fixes that. Or you can do what I've been doing and just ignore the problem and just hold the switches just right whenever you put the hardtop up or down or need to use the switches. More Buick content. I was hoping someone would ask about the Buick because I did kind of want to give an update on that. The Buick's sitting right now. It's been having an issue with its fuel trims being way off. It's getting 9 miles per gallon, which at the boost levels that I'm running with E85 is way, way, way off where it should be. So I started looking into that, and I think the issue, it's not intake vacuum leaks that we can find. As near as I can tell, it is actually a exhaust leak on the rear exhaust manifold that's causing excess oxygen to get drawn into the exhaust and throwing off the O2 sensor readings, making it think the car is running that would be lean and adding more fuel. So it's running rich and it's getting poor fuel economy, and so I can't really tune it right now, and I'm not really wanting to drive it right now. But with my back the way it is, leaning over that massive engine bay to get to the rear exhaust manifold isn't really not really an option at the moment. So it's just kind of sitting. And it's not like there's a lack of room back there. It is a pushrod V6 instead of dual overhead cams, so there's actually tons of room to work with. It's just yeah, I need one of those things that they use to work on like diesel trucks, where you lay face down on the. It's like an elevated creeper, and you slide over the top. Hey, David Ruff, thank you for your super chat. You should get a Renault Le Car to go with the Festiva. There was one for sale in Kansas not that long ago. A replacement exhaust manifold, I don't actually think it's broken. I think it's just leaking from around the gasket, and I think what happened is just the gaskets are old, and I'm putting a lot more power out of that engine than it used to, and maybe more powerful exhaust pulses results in more exhaust leaks. Yeah, topside creeper. Headers on the Buick. There aren't really many good options for that. A friend of mine is he's actually developing equal length headers for the Buick 3800s, but it's more for a turbocharged application instead of just a stock or supercharged or trying to get better volumetric efficiency out of the existing setup. And I don't think any amount of headers can make those engines sound good. Just due to the way that the camshafts are, the firing order and the valve overlap just results in a crummy sounding engine. Warming up, yeah, it's like 80 degrees in Kansas right now. I might actually open up that window because it's getting a bit toasty in here. A back inversion taper has a lifted creeper. I like that idea. That's great. I need to clean my shop up first. Yeah, it's actually warm enough that I get to enjoy a nice frosty beverage from my favorite gas station. Oh yeah, I can feel my teeth rotting. So good. Turbo and supercharged. Yeah, people do that. People will twin charge these engines. Usually they'll stick with a stock supercharger, and that'll just kind of get it going in the low end. And then by like halfway up the rev range, you've got the turbocharger taking over. It works. It works pretty well. I think 3 or 4 people on the forums have done that kind of thing. One of my friends had like a 70 something millimeter turbo and a supercharger off a what was it? It was a GT500 supercharger, I think. Big ol' SVT thing on a water to air intercooler stack and all sort of stuff. The hockey puck's holding great, actually. That mount is really solid. My buddy Zeph actually did try to convince me to just take the supercharger off of my car and put a regular naturally aspirated intake manifold on it, and then just turbocharge it from there, because since it's a front-wheel drive V6, the exhaust gas has to go from the front of the car. Let's see, this is the front of the car to the back of the car, so it crosses over the engine. And you can just tee into that crossover and stick a turbocharger right there and then shoot a downpipe right back out to the back, and it's kind of the easiest thing ever to set up. And the bonuses of the turbocharger over the supercharger is you can put an intercooler in there a lot easier and have cooler intake charges, which is why I had to run E85. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. You can't see me gesturing with my hands, and I kind of talk with my hands a bit. I'm running E85 because the M90 supercharger is a heat generator, and you'll start to get nasty pre-detonation without intercooling. But intercooler sandwiches are A, very expensive, and B, very finicky, so I'll just go with the inherent cooling abilities built into E85. They just started building a massive QT 3 miles from your house. I don't think it's possible to be 3 miles away from a Quick Trip in Wichita. They are everywhere. Frosty beverages 12 months of the year up in Canada? Yeah, unless you're drinking antifreeze. Don't do that. Got rid of your 2018 Chrysler 300 for a 2008 Buick LaCrosse. Interesting. That's an interesting move. Honestly, I kind of like the newer Chrysler 3800s. The interiors have really moved up market. The LaCrosse is kind of a cool car. I do love that they named it after a sport for some reason. I think they look pretty neat. They have a very don't jump all over me for this, but I think they kind of have a bit of a Jaguar look to them. If the LaCrosse is what I'm thinking of here, let's see here, Buick LaCrosse, 2008. Yeah, see, that's a. Let's show the screen. That's not going to show my screen, is it? There we go. Buick LaCrosse, there it is. I think that's a nice looking sedan, and that one's a super. You can tell by the four portholes on the side, which translates to four cylinders per bank. But I think that's a pretty nice looking car. They're very sleek, and like I said, they're kind of almost European or Jaguar looking, almost. And I remember the reviews for the Buick LeSabre. I think it was Car and Driver compared it to, it looks like a Jaguar, and I'm like, which one? Which Jag could that possibly look like? La Crosse, Wisconsin. Buick Allure? Oh, that's the Canadian. Oh, really? Buick Allure. Why is my default search engine Bing? Oh, wow. They did call it something different in Canada. That is interesting. You learn something new every day, I suppose. I actually, when I worked at a GM dealership, let's see if I can switch back again. Okay, yeah, just show the chat. Why not? When I worked at a GM dealership, this is the generation that came out, and I always kind of loved this ridiculously lazy attempt at a throwback to the old sweep spear design. Just like, yeah, slap it on the side of a Chevy Impala, call it good. That's a design right there. It's still they half-assed it even more with the generation after this, which is like the um, why is Bing my default search engine? What is wrong here? This is messed up. 2016. Nope. Later than that, 2018. Yeah, they watered it down even more, and they were like, yeah, we just made like this barely even exists character line, and the whole car is just an egg. I like the front end a lot, but the rest of the car is just a blob. Ugh. Ew. If okay, wow. I just reinstalled Windows on this laptop not long ago, so all my defaults and stuff are completely wrong. Yeah, the aluminum plenum on the 3800, that was only on the Series 3, I believe. OnStar, you cannot fix. It uses an old analog GSM to communicate, which would be the cellular technology. And a lot of stuff pre 2005 or 2004 uses that analog GSM, and they turned off all of the cell towers for that in, I think, 2012 or so. And all that stuff stopped working. That's why your old car phones and stuff can't be activated on a new line anymore either. The Tourex, yeah, Tourex was honestly a great car all around. I mean, it was straight up a German car, just with a Buick badge on it, which I absolutely loved. Do they make a manual rear wheel drive base transmission for the 3800? Yes. You can put a T5 on it with the bell housing from a 4-cylinder S10. Or you can try and just get the whole T5 transmission assembly out of a 3800 powered F-body Camaro, which would have been the facelifted ones, and then it was an option on the pre-facelift ones, which could also have the 3.4. So yes, you could put a 3800 in your Starion with an S10 bell housing and Camaro transmission. Bit of a mess. I really wanted to put that powertrain in several things. The thought of a rear-wheel drive L67 has always appealed to me. Alante or Riata, those are neat curiosities, but they're honestly worthless cars. Like they're neat, but the Riata just had the series, not even series. I think it's a pre-series one or it's a series 1 3800, which you can't tune. You can't really do anything with them. They don't make enough power to be interesting, and it was automatic only. So it's just kind of a. It's grand touring, but not as grand as the 3800 Riviera was, and you could get the 3800 Riviera with the L67, and then you have a two-door coupe that is an inch longer than my Park Avenue. They are absolutely obscene cars, and I love them, even if they are the roundest of round eggs. BMW E30, yeah, you might have seen recently Tyler Hoover's E30 is on carsandbids.com. And I took the pictures of that, and honestly, being around a car that age in that good a shape was just something really, really special. I was actually offered an E30 in trade for the motorcycle I just sold. I didn't end up taking that trade simply because I needed the money and I don't have the room for another project right now. But here you can see Tyler's E30. If any of you guys are even remotely interested in this thing and have the means, go check it out. It's a very special car, especially in all original condition like that. And I love how absolutely nothing in these cars is just a hinge. Nothing just goes like that. Like the center armrests and stuff, they do like this sort of thing when you open them. They have these weird double hinges. They're super nifty. Let's see here. How do I feel about the Hummer EV? Love it. I think it's super cool. I'm very excited for that to come out. I'd love to get a chance to drive one. 69 people watching? Nice. Ecotechs had manuals available? They did. I think they were a different bolt pattern, though. I know the Iron Duke had the same bolt pattern as the 3800, but I'm not sure if the Ecotech is the same or not. Nash Metropolitan with the 3800. That sounds like a really good way to die. Oh my goodness. I think thousands General Motors cars and trucks are going to be collectible. I don't know about collectible necessarily. The supercharged 3800 stuff is definitely interesting from an enthusiast standpoint. I don't know. Maybe people will start collecting Envoy XUVs. You got outbid on the E30. Well, just get more money. Hey, Isaac, thank you for the super chat. You like the Festiva videos? That's cool. I got some more coming. I got some new wheels and tires on it, and I've got a new seatbelt that actually just got here yesterday that I'm going to put in it. Let me give you guys a quick look at that car with the new wheels and tires, because it is absolutely hilarious and it rides so much better. Okay, let's see if I can do this without OBS freaking out again. There we go. Look at that majesty. Oh my goodness, have you ever seen anything like it? That is a Festiva on wheels and tires. I don't know. It's absolutely madness. Nothing rubs either. Nothing. It all clears just by like a quarter of an inch. Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. That car is great. What mods can you do to a basic Series 3 3800? Really, I just do reliability stuff if it's naturally aspirated. If you don't want to go adding a turbo or forced induction to it. Just keep it in good shape. It'll run forever, and they make a decent amount of torque. Do I know how to service air conditioning? I have a vague idea. I mean, I've done it before, just not a whole lot. Mike, oh my gosh, thank you for your super chat. Have I ever been less than 100% Jake? Is this a philosophical question? I mean, I don't think anyone's 100% all the time. I look like the ultimate gamer right now. Yeah, so this isn't even actually like a gaming headset. This is an Audio Technica M40X sort of reference headphone studio monitors that I use for editing my videos and stuff. And then I just got this cable off of Amazon that has the microphone built into the cable and it turns it into a headset. And my wife bought like a $120 dedicated headset, and this sounds better. Holden made the Chevy SS. Yeah, so the Chevy SS and the Pontiac G8 for sure. Those are already skyrocketing in price. You can't touch those anymore for less than like $20,000. What's the condition of the seats on a Buick? On my Buick, the seats are in great shape. They could use a little bit of a cleaning and some more leather conditioner, but other than that, they are actually surprisingly good. No super worn bolsters or anything like that. My mouse isn't working. Oh, this mouse isn't hooked up to my laptop. Go me. I know what I'm doing. Okay, so for the giveaway, the way that this is going to work is that the Instagram post, which I will link in the chat real quick, just in case anyone forgot to leave a comment on it. I've got a website here that will go through, scan all the comments, and it will choose a random comment, and that person who made that comment will be the winner. I will shoot them a direct message on Instagram, and yep, go from there. Get their address and ship it off to them. So we'll do that here in a little bit. I put the link there in the chat in case anyone wants to go back in. Leaving multiple comments doesn't give you an advantage or anything. Yeah. GM can switch your OnStar to digital. That's pretty cool. What would my dream car be? I really, really want a Jaguar XJS V12, one of the 1992 and up ones that had the galvanized steel chassis, outboard brakes, and the 6-liter V12. And then I'd like to manual swap that with some bottom hinged pedals and kind of resto mod the whole thing with some nicer suspension, a more modern HVAC unit, probably a DIY vintage air system, nice sound system, some slightly nicer seats. Just try and modernize it a bit, make it a really, really nice Grand Tourer. I love how those cars look because they are like 80% hood, and it is glorious. I have a buddy who's one of the engineers for the L67 program. That is really cool. I have a chance to get a used intercooler and the fuel rails. Is it worth it to add to my GS? Yes. Even if you're running a stock pulley size on your GS, an intercooler will help you a lot because these cars in their stock form are known to pull timing. They have extremely aggressive knock sensors and knock retard programming. And like even the naturally aspirated ones, I had a naturally aspirated car that was just 5 degrees of knock pulling timing at all times. Of course, that car had like 300,000 miles, but yeah, intercooling, always good. Colder air charge, denser, you'll get better, probably better fuel economy, better power, definitely. Wife said I can't spend more than 7,000 on my next project car, so I'm thinking about the regular car Nissan POW. Yeah, I like the POW for what it is, and the other cars from that series. I think the Figaro is kind of a bit cooler, just because it's a little coupe thing. I don't think you could really go wrong with him though, since it is just a retro body on an older Nissan economy car. Most of the mechanical parts you can probably get a hold of pretty easily, I would imagine. Your dream car is a Festiva. Yeah. Geo Sprint. Which one was the Sprint? Geo Sprint 3-cylinder. I've. Oh, is that the predecessor to the Metro? Okay, no, the first generation Metro was also called the Sprint, and the Pontiac Firefly, and the Suzuki Cultus. Cultus, that's an interesting one. Huh! Today I learned there was a whole lot of badge engineering going on in those days with the small compact cars because the American manufacturers didn't really have the means or the engineering knowledge necessary to develop and build something on their own. So, really, almost all of the small domestic cars of that era were captive imports because the Honda Civic was just eating everybody for lunch. How about the salvage JR bike? Yeah, the KTM. Yeah, he's basically doing exactly what happened with my Ninja 300. Bought it wrecked and stolen, rebuilt it in a day. Absolutely love it. Oh, the Figaro's auto only? Oh, that's sad. 3-cylinder Geo Metro Turbo? I don't know. That's that's a new. I've never heard of a Turbo Geo Metro from the factory. Maybe overseas. Maybe overseas. Let's see here. What engines were available? I'm just opening up Geo Metro in Wikipedia and searching for the word turbo on there, and I didn't find anything. So I don't know if that's actually a thing or not. Well, that's neat. I'm learning a lot of stuff right now. This is kind of cool. I'm sure those are absolutely the most rare thing imaginable, but ooh, Daytona Shelby Z Turbo. Those are cool. Yeah, it's like John Ross's truck that he had. The Rampage, I believe, is on the same platform. I love how much overhang those have. It almost kind of looks like something that could be rear wheel drive. Hang on, let me pull up a picture. There we go. It almost looks like something that could be rear wheel drive, and you see all this bumper sticking out and how far back the wheel is in the wheel well, and it's like that's front wheel drive. But what's interesting is that the F body Camaro and Firebird are kind of the same way. There's like the body of the car, the wheel, and then like another 3 foot of body in front of the front wheels. First generation Silverado going to be collectible? Would that be the? Do you mean like the first generation? It was called the Silverado, which I believe was the GMT 400? Because yeah, those are definitely going to be collectible. It's so hard to find clean one these days because they were just such appliances, and they all got beat up. Fiberglass wheels on the Shelby CSX. That's awesome. I knew there was a fairly recent hypercar from, I believe, Koenigsegg that had carbon fiber wheels. I have not heard of fiberglass wheels. Hmm. Yep. Fiber Ride. 15 by 6.5 reinforced fiberglass composite wheels. That's really cool. I love that. What cool technology for when was this? The 80s, I'd assume. 89, the 89 CSX VNT. I want to find one of those. Anything clean and low mileage will be a collector car. Yeah, I mean, who would have predicted that people would be drooling as they are over 80s Camrys in good shape? But I don't think many things will get you as much respect as pulling up in a mint condition 80s economy car. Like you pull up in your grandma's one owner, only driven on Sundays Camry, and people are going to go, "Wow, I haven't seen one of these in 30 years. Who takes this good a care of one of these? And also, how much money do you want for it? I mean, nostalgia is a very powerful thing. It's pretty simple to just think of like, oh, okay, so the generation is growing up, is going to want the cars from their childhood when they have enough money to spend on, buying their dream childhood car. Like my generation, we grew up with the 90s Honda Civics, Fast and Furious, and all that stuff. And now you're seeing my generation that they've hit it off on trust. Now that they've hit it off in I don't know, Dogecoin or stonks or whatever, and they have money, or maybe they got an inheritance and now they want to buy those cars they thought were really cool when they were 7 years old. And so now you're seeing 1999 Honda Civic SIs selling for 6 figures on Bring a Trailer. But everything sells for way too much on Bring a Trailer. That is why Cars and Bids is far superior, because it's less of just people sitting in a circle talking about how much they know about cars. Tyler has a basically collectible Dodge Dakota. Yeah, that thing's obscenely nice. I've never seen a bed that looks that good. It's completely wild. 1987 Turbo Thunderbird. Yes, the turbo coupes. I can definitely see those getting collectible. What's interesting about those is that they're one of the last cars I can think of where basically every year has visual differences in the bumper design and whatnot. I have actually never driven one, but I would really like to drive a stick turbo coupe or super coupe. The turbo coupe was Fox body based, I think, and then super coupe was MN12. A friend of mine is a huge nerd about the MN12 stuff. Cars and Bids is awesome, except if you're selling a Hellcat. I think that was just kind of a bad turn of the market there. The timing didn't quite work out on that one. It's a big shame, though. I basically want every General Motors vehicle, every trim and color from 2000 to 2019. The problem there is that most of the GM stuff between 2009 and 2016 is absolute trash. Diesel Thunderbird? That was a thing? B-Ski, we haven't done the drawing yet. I just wanted to answer some questions first. Kind of give everyone a chance to get in here. Pontiac Grand Prix is going to be collectible from 2004 to 2008. Yeah, I'd agree. I prefer the previous generation because they were a lot lighter. The 04 to 08 one just kind of looks a bit fat to me, but it is definitely the most refined, and you can get so many neat features on them, like the heads-up display. That's like the only feature that my Park Avenue Ultra is missing, is the heads-up display. I've always wanted a car with one of those. Fox Potty with the turbos. Yeah, that would be so cool. I love Fox bodies. It's such a garbage chassis out of the box, but you can make them pretty dang good if you throw some parts in it. Nothing gets Jake but the fact there are zeros, thumbs downs calling out to me. Hey now, messing with my metrics. I actually don't think YouTube cares about thumbs up or thumbs down anymore. It's all about comments. All about views and comments. 88 Turbo Coupe back in 92. Now you have 3 Super Coupes. Wow. Are they so unreliable that you need 3 to keep one working, or do you just have a problem? Because it's okay, this is a safe space. We all have a problem here. My backyard is full of aging hoopties, and my garage is full of crap 80s and 90s motorcycles. Saab 95 Aero, 2011 Saab 95 Aero. Man, I love how those cars look. People say a lot about how the GM era Saabs aren't real Saabs, but I love the way that those work. GM AFM, yeah. Toyota 85 4x4 minivan with a manual. Yep, that would be pretty sweet. Or I would like to find one of the rear-wheel drive Mazda MPVs to swap a 302 into with a stick. That would be absolute hilarity. I don't know if you can retain the four-wheel drive system when you do that kind of thing, but imagine pulling up next to a Mazda MPV from the early 90s and it's making 302 noises at you. That would be fantastic. And MN12 nerd would be Tyler G. He is one of them. I just remembered. I have 2 friends that are nerds about the MN12s, and for some reason they're not in a group chat with each other. I should change that, actually. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop reaching for my mouse that isn't even plugged into this laptop. This is plugged into my desktop, and I keep grabbing it and wondering why nothing's happening. I am going to switch over to the website for the contest. I'm using simpliers.com. It's kind of the only free one that I could find. Let's see here, show screen. There we go. Okay, so this just I fed it the link for I fed it the link for the Turbo giveaway post, and it appears to have let's I'm gonna do a recount. Okay, we got 104 people, and let me just okay. So I think once I click start contest, it's going to do an 8-second countdown, and then it's going to pick a person. So let's go ahead and do this. 8:32. We're only 32 minutes after when I said. Doing good. All right, here we go. This is actually really exciting. I've never done anything like this before. Boom. And there we have one. Okay, go away. Okay, we've got a DM3K Garage. Good luck to everyone. That would really wake up my 5.7 liter project. It sure would. Let's see here. DM3K. Oh, how do I quickly find his comment? Oh man. There we go. And he is following me. How how does Instagram work? I just want to message this guy. Oh, let me switch this back to my face real quick. I'm gonna give this guy a message. Hey, Digital Mania 3K, how's it? Hey, you are in the chat. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and send you a message on Instagram. And thanks for being in the chat with me. I'm glad that someone was watching who ended up getting it. Can I not respond? I can't respond to messages in the chat. Oh, that's a shame. All right, I sent you a message. Yep, he's. I have to follow him. I guess I could. Hey, this is fun. I am enjoying this, and I absolutely love. Hey, there's 70 people here watching this. I love hearing from all of you guys. I love reading all the comments. Um, it absolutely astounds me that there's this many people in the world that are interested in the garbage that I'm working on in my garage and what I have to say about it. It's honestly pretty humbling. Um, I'm really hoping to be able to do some more interesting stuff here coming up. I've got definitely more Festiva content. I've got more stuff with my Mazda Miata coming up. We'll see if I can get that Buick fixed. I've got some stuff for the Buick. That thing is either going to blow up or go really fast. Hopefully the latter. As soon as I'm able to get it fixed, it's going to be pretty great. It's never going to hook. It's just going to spin tires all the time. The Park Avenue's not garbage. No, that's probably the nicest car that I have, and it's one that I got for free from Tyler Hoover, which is absolutely astounding. Of course, my nicest car would be one that someone else thinks so little of. They just give me. Yeah, the Buick's great. I'm definitely wanting to clean that one up really, really nice. It'll get a full paint correction, ceramic coat, that sort of thing. I guess I could do that even if it's not quite running right, really. Hmm. Hmm. It was fun detailing the interior. Hey, we got a viewer from Mexico. You're a good dude, Jake. Thank you, Matthew. All right. Well, I guess I'll just answer a few more questions here. I don't want to take up everyone's whole day. 94 Caprice, yeah, with the LT1. Man, those are nice. I like those. What's up with the bikes? Which ones? I've got the 97 Ducati, an 86 Honda Goldwing, and a 74 Yamaha Enduro DT175. The Yamaha needs a little bit of carb work, a new choke, airbox installed, tubes, and a clutch. The Goldwing, I just finished rebuilding the carbs. I'm deleting the pair system. It needs a timing belt, rear brake master cylinder rebuilt, and then probably tires. The Ducati actually runs and rides perfectly, but I'm probably going to change that, take it all apart, and convert it to EFI. I have all the parts gathered together to build an EFI system for the Ducati and bring it into the 21st century. Oh, wow, there's a whole bunch of comments there. Would you tint the windows on the Buick? Maybe a little bit, but not a lot. Tinted windows don't really fit the aesthetic that well. Never seen anyone as excited about me as a Buick. You haven't met my Buick friends, apparently. You watch because misery loves company. Yeah. Does the wife get jealous of my cars? No. Long as she has something to drive to work, she could not care less about what I do with my cars or my money. It's actually quite nice. Cars show up and go away, and bikes show up and go away all the time. And she just, she lives her life. I live mine. Mako Park Avenue. Why? The paint is in such good shape. It does have a couple little scrapes on a rear bumper that need repaired that I might take it to Mako or something for, but other than that, it's pretty much great. Just a few dings here and there from parking lots and such. Super clean car. And my daughter in a 93 Roadmaster for her high school years, wanted plenty of steel around her. Yeah, those Roadmasters are cool. I'd love a Roadmaster estate with a rear facing third row. What those would be great for is as a camera vehicle because you could legally stay buckled up in the back seat. It's got a split tailgate, so you could open the top tailgate and just shoot photos or videos, rolling shots right out the back there. JP Volvo, you have a Riata? That's pretty neat. Does it have the CRT touchscreens? And if so, do they work? Because that's pretty neat. Winter 22's coming for the Buick? Never. Rotating mass is the devil. Have you considered making the Buick a burnout machine? I mean, I guess. I kind of consider burnouts a little bit wasteful. I just can't afford to be buying new tires all the time, and I don't have a tire machine to put them on, so, I never really got it. And it's an open diff, so it'd be a one-wheel peel, and there's a pretty high probability of grenading the differential with too much of that sort of abuse. How are you liking the new head unit? Love it. I want to get something similar for the BMW. Not they, but a different company makes head units that look like the OEM nav unit for those E46s, and I love it. It looks very factory and has all the cool functionality. Subaru Brat had rear jump seats. Yeah, the Brats are cool, but man, they're so expensive these days. Way out of my budget. No burnouts. Well, it does do some burnouts. It's kind of hard to avoid doing burnouts in a car with upwards of 300 horsepower and a front wheel drive chassis on okay tires. I remember these tasting a lot better a few years ago. I don't know if the drink changed or if I have. Do you watch Stacy David in Gears? I have not heard of that. I wish GM could make new navigation for the early 2000s cars. Yeah, I do love. Porsche actually did that. They made a Android Auto and CarPlay compatible head units that were designed to look at home in their older Porsches. I believe the 996 and the later air-cooled models. I love that. That is some excellent support there. A great way to keep their old stuff still convenient and viable as modern daily drivers. I love that. A lot of the German brands are very, very good about supporting their older stuff. I mean, I can still buy a whole bunch of parts brand new for my BMW if I want to pay that kind of money. Mazda's pretty good about that too. You can ship Mazda and NA Miata, and they will completely rebuild it from scratch for you. It'll cost you way big money, but any more collabs coming? Oh, I'm hoping to do a bunch of stuff with that Elliot Alvis here coming up. I've been hanging out with John Ross, all that kind of stuff. Any Hoovy content coming in the future? That's kind of up to him. I'm always down to do stuff with Mr. Garage. Mr. Garage, yes, first name Hoovy, last name Garage. What's that brand of head units that looks just like Nav? I believe it's a Toto, I think. Hang on. There's like one brand that everyone gets, and then there's a whole bunch of knockoffs of that. Eon, a Toto is what I have in the Buick. It's EONON for the BMWs. Eonon. But those are like, they're fairly expensive, I think. Yeah, they're like $400, which, for what you get, not terrible, but a bit out of my price range right now. What's up with the Insight? Nothing. Insight's doing great. Wife drives it all the time. I do need to fix the window regulator, but in order to do that, I also have to fix the window switch. In order to do that, I have to take a big panel off the front of the dash that is quite fragile. So it's a bit of an operation. There's a little piece in the window switch that goes bad, and it will, when you roll down the windows, it won't return back to center. So it'll roll down the window and it'll keep trying to roll down the window, and that just burns out your window regulators all the time. There is a 3D printable piece that you can put in there that will fix it, but I've got to get that piece, and then I've got to take all that stuff apart, and then the inside will be great. I'd like to get a nice head unit and speakers in that thing for my wife because she likes to listen to music, and the stuff that's in there is pretty bad. She's just using a cassette adapter, and it kind of sounds like Dookie. Crutchfield for your Buick head unit? Yeah, Crutchfield's usually pretty good. I did have a problem with their instructions once. It told me to take something out of my Lexus's dashboard wrong, and I ended up breaking it, and it was a part that was nearly impossible to fix, or to replace. Hoping to amp up your 18 Challenger SXT? Yeah, I love the way the Challengers look. I like how they've looked the exact same since they brought them back in like 2008. Your wife drives stick? Yeah, oh yeah. I taught her how to drive stick when we started dating, like in high school, and her family gave me a really broken manual Saturn. It was like a 97 Saturn SL1 with a 1.9 twin cam. And they said, I think it just needs a battery. We don't want it anymore. So they gave that to me, and I took it and hid it and put a battery in it, went on test drive, smelled like oil, went back. Oh, a motor mount is broken and busted a hole through the valve cover. So I got a new valve cover for it. I took the motor mount off and the studs were broken, so I had to weld onto the studs and take them out. Put it all back together. Long story short, it ended up being a nice 5-speed Saturn SL1 or 2 or whatever the 4-door was, and I actually gave it to my wife, who was at the time my girlfriend, for her first car. And it was a stick, and she took to it really quickly and daily drove that for a while. And then she drove a Civic, and then she daily drove my Nissan Sentra SER, and then she daily drove my 5-speed swapped Fox body, and then my 2002 Miata, and now the Insight. She's really the only automatic she's really ever daily driven. Oh no, she daily drove a 6-speed V6 Mazda 6 for a while as well. The only automatic she's ever really daily driven was my IS300 Sport Cross. And now she's daily driving a Honda Insight with bad second gear synchros, so she has to double clutch downshift in it, and she's actually better at it than I am now. That was a long rambling exposition, wasn't it? Nathaniel Crenshaw, thank you for the super chat. First rider refusal on the Ultra. I don't know, man. That might be a future cars and bits thing if I ever get rid of it. But I'm not sure what kind of buyer will be out there for that sort of thing. I might want to take it back to mostly stock and put all the mods in a box if someone really wants to put them back on there, because it's not terribly useful for its intended purpose with as short of a fuel range and as picky as it is on gas. Though I am told, I have it tuned for E85, I am told that I can put regular fuel in it, and when it's in closed loop, it will just adjust the fuel trims, and it'll be fine on 91 octane. So I'll have to try that sometime, get my data logging going, and see what happens when I put regular fuel in a car tuned for 85, and I just have to keep it out of boost so it doesn't ping. Wives who love sticks are always a plus. I see what you did there. Your wife has moved to a new Prius after decades of driving stick. Not going back because of traffic? Yeah, we don't really have traffic here in Wichita. People complain about traffic whenever they get stuck in, like, going 20 miles an hour for a mile and a half. That's not traffic. Traffic is 3 hours of stop and go. No one around here knows what that's like. You can get from any point in Wichita to any other point in Wichita in about 15 minutes, regardless of where it is. I think here at 4 o'clock in about 12 minutes we're going to call it good with this stream, and I thank you all for joining me. We've been solid at 73 viewers, and I love seeing you all here. My great grandma needs a hoopty. I love that. Let me see if I have any other quick teasers of upcoming content here. I don't think there's a whole lot. What do I have going on? What has Jake got in the works? Let's see. Oh, there is something I can tell you about. Some friends of mine and I, I do some photography stuff. I take all the pictures for Tyler Hoover's auction listings, which is a lot of fun. Especially check out the Bentley one. The pictures of him passed out at the bar in the background. That was all his idea. He has. I love when he has ideas like that for photo shoots. Really makes them interesting. But some local photography friends and I were starting a video podcast that will occasionally post to YouTube called Cartographique, I believe. Part of the joke is that I mispronounce the name every time, and it's going to be sort of a Top Gear thing with cameras, where we look at some pictures, we kind of review them, see what people are doing, then we try and go do those things. Maybe we have a gear review thrown in there. We sort of have challenges with our cameras. So keep an eye on my community tab. I'll have some updates about that. Here's a look at one photography technique. This is my buddy James doing what's called rigging, which instead of taking pictures from one car to another car while it's driving, you take that big old pole, suction cup it to a car, and you pull it with a rope, and you take a very long exposure, and it makes the car look like it's going really fast, and the picture's tack sharp every time. And then you can just go in Photoshop, really easily remove that pole, and Bob's your uncle. It's a really neat way to get really excellent shots. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, check that out. Is it possible to take 2005 Cadillac Escalade Platinum heated and cooled seats and install looks like install the whole interior in a 2005 Silverado 2500? Possible, yes. It depends on how much you want to work. There's definitely going to be a whole bunch of custom fabrication and wiring, mostly wiring involved there. I'm sure it will all bolt in fairly easily, but it's going to be up to you to try and make that stuff actually work together. I don't know if GMs were really everything talked on CAN bus back then or not, but retrofitting cooled seats, that's one of my favorite luxury car features that aren't often found in the old hoopties that I'm used to. But as someone with a sweaty back, I would love to have cooled seats. Oh, I live outside the DFW Metroplex. On a rare occasion, I have to go to town. It sucks. Yeah, I go to DFW a couple times a year to see some friends. And yeah, is Wichita a good place to move to? Depends on what you want. Real estate's cheap here, but there's not a whole. I mean, we've got people complain there's not a whole lot to do in Wichita. There's not a lot of tourist traps, but we've got breweries every 5 feet. We've got some a lot of good restaurants, not just chains, but a lot of really good local restaurants. There's some decent careers here. You're not going to make a lot of money, but stuff doesn't cost that much. But at the same time, a $5 thing on Amazon is $5 wherever you are. So, yeah. Don't buy a 2005 Chevy Cavalier, totally unsafe. Sir, I own a Ford Festiva. If safety was a priority, I wouldn't own it or ride motorcycles. I actually like those Cavaliers. The Ecotech is great. April 17th is Wichita Cars and Coffee. Yes, you can see me there. I will most likely be bringing the Festiva. Just because that's probably the weirdest thing that I've got. Hopefully I can get it tagged then, having a bit of a hold up with the title. It happens. Weird situation there. Am I watching the reveal of the Hummer SUV? Is that right now? Because no. I thought they already revealed it. Get yourself a Mercedes CL500 Hoopty that needs ABC and SBC. Put in coilovers. Yeah, so I've definitely looked into that. I wanted to buy Hoovie's Car Trek Mercedes. But yeah, they're just a bit expensive. Still, a friend of mine does have a S600 V12 by turbo, and it's honestly been fairly reliable for him until some water got somewhere, and now the security system or something is freaking out. It just flashes its hazards all the time, no matter what. It is a heck of a powertrain, though. The V12 by turbo, it's electric car smooth, and the way it builds power is just fantastic. My YouTube car-related subscriptions all seem to be around Kansas, which is weird as I'm from England. Oh, you're not subscribed to Bad Obsession Motorsports or Colin Furs? They've got some great stuff. Bad Obsession especially. I wish I had half their attention to detail and patience. The stuff that they do is absolutely fantastic. Your Buick needs a new steering wheel? Funny thing about that, my Buick has the nicest steering wheel I've ever seen in a Park Avenue. For whatever reason, those just go to pot instantly. And yeah, I might take it to an upholstery shop to maybe, well, really, I mean, what's wrong with it? The wood is cracked in a few places. Not much I can do about that. The leather, a little bit worn, but that's okay. The buttons look like crap, but those can be replaced pretty easily, and I'm definitely going to do that. It's a bit expensive. It has like 15 cars and bikes. Well, yeah, because I could have one expensive, unreliable vehicle, and then when it breaks down, I'm screwed. Or I could have 15 cheaper, unreliable vehicles and always have a backup. You got to play the numbers game. You got to make sure that you divest your investment. Divest your investment? Yeah, sure. Divest your investment in vehicles so that you always have something that works. Wichita is the center of the automotive YouTube universe. Yeah, I suppose. It's not exactly like on a Friday night you're just going to pop on over to watch J.R. Go's house or something, though. Jonathan, I actually have not heard of any of those channels. It's kind of funny. A lot of us that are in the automotive YouTube game don't have a ton of time to watch other creators. I mostly just watch the local guys' stuff. Keep your garage like a raid array. Yes, I've got raid 10 vehicles. That's fantastic. What would a striped array be? Would that just be owning like 4 Ducatis, and if one breaks, they're just all hosed? How would that work? This is getting a little bit philosophical. Seriously considering a holiday to Wichita? Not much to lose. 4 Audis at the same time. Oh, I can't imagine how expensive that was. I have not, so I'm really looking forward to John Ross fixing that black Audi of his because I've never driven one of those, and I've always been very interested in how they drive because the entire powertrain, if you look at the car, you had the hood off and I could see the engine there. The entire engine, transmission, everything sits forward of the front axle. So the whole thing is hanging out there in the nose. And I can't imagine that it's very nimble in the corners like that. the weight distribution is just completely off. A striped array is part swappable between the hoopties. Oh, smart. Well, kind of, because a striped array, if you lose any of your discs, the whole array goes down, and it's probably unrecoverable. Worst car I've ever owned. Now that's an interesting one because the car I had the worst luck with was my 2003 Mazda 6 V6. And I'm not saying it was a bad car. This one was a Texas car, and everything was just dry rotted and brittle, even though it was completely rust free. And so the cooling system was just constantly breaking. And because it was a dual overhead cam, front wheel drive V6, getting to stuff like the heater hoses was just such a royal pain. Other than that, honestly, it was a pretty easy car to work on, and I can imagine that the four-cylinder stick versions are an absolutely fantastic daily driver. But the second I got that thing solid, it was gone, and I took a loss on it, and I was happy. No, I didn't take a loss on it. I still made money on that car, but I was very happy to see it go. Um, Worst car was actually probably my Jaguar XJS. I bought that. I always wanted an XJS. I had just gotten denied a job at a place and I was feeling real down about it. And I saw this XJS come up on Marketplace. And I'd seen this XJS come up several times before for sale over the past 3 or 4 years. And red flag number one, it was an SBC swapped 77. So it had, a full GM engine transmission in it. And I was like, cool. The part that I need to get me to work and back is reliable. Everything else will fall apart around it, but at least I'll be able to get to work and back. So I went. I paid way too much money for it. I think I paid like $2,700 or $3,700 for it. And I got a signature loan for it, which was also a terrible, terrible idea. And after 1 month driving it, it spun 2 rod bearings. And then I got to learn how to rebuild a small block Chevy in my friend's garage. Rebuilt it for like $300, I think. It had obviously, at some point in its past, this car was really set up because when I took it apart, I found a balanced rotating assembly, a comp cam's camshaft. It had clearly had better heads on it at some point. It had, Edelbrock intake manifold, and then in the back there was an old Edelbrock performance throttle body injection controller under the passenger floor mat. So at some point it was fuel injected as well, and it had some custom shorty headers. So clearly, at some point, that engine was really set up. So I got all put back together and drove it for a while, and it was just kind of a constant fight. The cooling system had some issues. I had to resolder a couple of pinholes in the radiator, and eventually I moved someplace where I couldn't work on it anymore, and I had to sell it. And I've kind of regretted that because especially now I've actually got a shop. I could have done that car up right and the way that I really wanted to, and it would have been absolutely fantastic. But now Jaguar XJS prices are growing faster than my hoard of money is, and I am a little worried I'm not going to be able to get one before they get stupid expensive again. Vic says you thought the worst was the Lexus. I hated the Lexus, but it objectively was not my worst car. Any advice on taking pictures of cars? Avoid automotive photography Facebook groups. They're all full of idiots who think they are God's gift to photography, giving either terrible advice or hyping up the most mediocre garbage. And it is a huge pet peeve of mine. You'll also run into people who insist that professionals only shoot in full manual, which is absolute garbage. You'll run into people who think that gear doesn't matter, which is absolute garbage. Gear absolutely matters. If you don't have the gear to get a specific shot, you're going to have a much more difficult time getting that shot. Really, if you want to take pictures of cars, find a photographer that you really like their style and try to figure out how they do it. And I'm not really sure, really just kind of become friends with a bunch of photographers and try and learn by absorbing it. It's really hard. I mean, I've been a photographer for 15 years now, I think, and I wouldn't even begin to say that I'm great at it. Okay. Can you import an XJS? Yeah, but there's a whole lot of them here domestically, and all the British ones are rusted to crap. Okay, guys. Well, it is 4 o'clock. I think I'm gonna go head to the lake. My family's having a They're having a cookout at a lake here outside town, so I'm going to head to that. And hopefully, wish me luck that the BMW doesn't break down. It's about a 40-mile drive. Become friends with, say what now? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me, and congratulations. Oh, actually, congratulations on DM3K Garage for winning the Turbo. I'll get that shipped out later this week. Gosh, I do need to figure out how I'm going to do that exactly. Anyway, big success, first giveaway. I'm glad you all could help. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for watching the channel. And I will see you all in the next video, live stream. Who knows? I kind of just float with the breeze. Cheers. Oh, and there we go.